Uh, let's see. Get rid of this. Okay. Well, the thing about the iPads that makes them so special, I mean, the iPads. What is going on? Smart ink. I got to turn that ink off. Okay. The smart pads really started out in 2010. They came out, and tablets have been around for a long time, for years. Even in the last century, they had iPads, or they had tablets. But they were always pretty much like small computers. And so they were very hard to navigate. It was hard to use your hands. You used to have a stylus or a pen. And until Apple came out with the iPhone, it was, the iPhone was almost like a little iPad because you could use your fingers and so on and so forth. That was 2007. People were playing around, and then they made the iPad Touch, which is pretty much the same. Anyone have iPhones or iPad Touch? Okay, so you know what? Basically, it's the same technology, but they actually found some new ways to incorporate those things into the iPhone, and so they enlarged it, and they called it the iPad, and it's a full-fledged tablet. The thing about the iPad and the iPhone before it is that instead of buying a full program like Microsoft Word or some of the other programs that people would buy, what else did people buy? Excel, what else did people buy? It's hard to think back so many years ago, but all the programs that you bought were separate programs. So when you bought it, it was the separate program, you bought it, and it had all these features, like tons of features, and you were paying maybe $59 or more for it. And with the iPhone, instead, what they developed was what they call apps. You all know what apps are. And apps were little bits of a program, a small program, that could actually do just one little thing and be available to work on these touch screens. And people went crazy because it just made it so much simpler than buying a full program and trying to learn to do 20 things with it. If you buy 20 small programs, it'll be cheaper. And most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time they're free. So most of the applications you'll see here, I think, are free. And there are over 200 free education apps on the iTunes Store for the iPad. So the idea of having apps changed everything. This totally changed everything. In the old days, people would buy DVDs or CDs to run educational programs. Remember that way back when they buy CD? You don't do it anymore because you just download the app. And so the apps changed everything. And the fact that apps can be developed by anyone, they're 8-year-old kids that develop their own apps. Believe that? 8-year-old kids develop their own apps. There's one kid developed an app, and he had like 2,000 downloads, and that was a while ago. The thing is that you don't need to know how to program to develop an app. And we'll probably be doing this in our grad program. I'm not trying to get this, but basically you can design an app and just pay someone or have someone develop it for you, and they're reasonably cheap. So that you can design an app. Once you have a good idea and make sure there's no other app around like that, you can actually design and develop an app, have someone create it for you, and you can upload that to the iTunes Store and make it for free or do it for money. And you'll see that most of the ones there that are free, they're developed by folks who are like you and me, are interested in education but aren't programmers. So you're going to find a ton of things up there that are free, and even some paid things people develop. And after a while, it's 99 cents or free, and then they make it 99 cents, and they make lots of money doing that kind of thing. So that's why apps have made tablets so good. And the reason why tablets are so good is because kids just take to them right away. Have any of you work with kids with tablets at all? Okay. Is there a chance for you to do that where you are working now? Anybody? No? Well, I will try and get you some videos then showing how people work with iPads. But today you're going to work with these iPads, and I'm going to demonstrate what's on them by switching over from this computer to that iPad magically. It's magic. And then I'm going to demonstrate some of the software here. And you folks will get some sheets for evaluation. And you'll pick out some of those sheets or some of those apps. And you will evaluate them according to the rubric here. And let me show you what the rubric looks like. So this is just a regular rubric that I pulled off from the web. It's an educational app evaluation rubric. And not everything is going to really pertain to what we're doing because you guys are all elementary school teachers in preparation. So when you look at relevance, when you look at these, I want you to look at things like relevance. Whatever the title is, does the focus have a strong connection to the purpose of the app? So whatever it says, when you look at the app and then you work with it, does it say what it's, is it going to do what it says the title will do? You know, it could say the math house and in some way work with math. Customization, you're not going to find a lot of those here that allow you to customize. I don't think we have any that you can customize, but there are many you can. You can change it for the kids. Feedback just means that when you click on something, something happens. So that, you ever click on something, nothing happens, you go crazy? What's going on? Okay. When something happens, we call that feedback. You hear a jingle or a sound, that's feedback. You hear a click, okay, you got feedback. As you go through these, notice if there's no feedback, then you would downgrade this. Student has provided feedback. Specific feedback would be after almost every click, there'd be something specific. Feedback just could be at the end of a screen or maybe an activity. Limited feedback or no feedback. Thinking skills, again, that's going to be kind of hard for elementary school. We only have a limited amount of apps. So I don't know if you're going to find that. Usability, students can launch by themselves. Actually, probably the second time. First time, you're going to show them how to do it, maybe. But once the kids know what's going on, they can probably start it themselves. Engagement, motivated, okay. To me, engagement means this, that will someone go back and use it a second time? Say, not the first time. Anybody can use something the first time. But is it something that you want to go back to, that it has enough? And as a teacher, you're going to have to evaluate that. But you can also find a student who's similar to the one that you're working. Say if it's first grade, get a first grade student and watch them as they go through it. So that's using an audience of someone who's likely to be a user and see how they do it. So don't even make your own judgment, but watch a bunch of kids use it and see what happens, and maybe the next day check again, see if they'll use it again. But when you do it here today, you're just going to evaluate it on its own terms. And then sharing. If it has some kind of scoring to it. Some of these do, some of these don't. You may not even know it on here. I'm not sure how we have it set up. But it's something to consider. Some of these have, you log in once, then the next time you log in, it's got you in there again. So, question or comment about that? Oh, come on. Got to have at least two. Two. Yes?
Are we going to be rating the apps that we use?
Yes. On the iPad, which you will get here in just a few minutes.
How many apps are we rating?
I think we'll see how many are on here that are worthwhile. It looks like 6 or 7. And just kind of go through them and rate them. And use one sheet. So for each one, you might put, like if it's the math one, you might put M with a circle around it. And then, or if it's like English, it's not too good, you put E, circle around it. So you know which ones, whatever the initials are of the thing itself. So you just need one to put all your evaluations on. Question or comment? Oh, that's one. That's good. That's okay. I'll take that. One more, yes.
So we give it a grade for each one of those categories
Mhm.
for all the apps on one sheet, and then do we save it like on our computer and upload
No,
it?
just hand it to me, put your names on it.
Oh, you have them
And
printed,
I'm
okay.
gonna, yeah, I've got them printed up, so I'm gonna give it to you now. So you two work together. And just put both the names on, so you guys can discuss it, which makes it a little bit easier. And you pass that back to them. And, let's see, you and she go together behind you?
Yeah.
Okay, you two. Pass that down. No, he's here.
Oh.
He's
What we're
here.
gonna do next.
Yeah, so you work together, discuss it together.
Oh, after name. I was trying to.
Okay? Now let me demonstrate, let me show you through magic what this is all about here. So let me take this out. It should go blank. Is this, how many people, for how many people, is this the first time you're actually using the iPad? You never went to the Apple store or anything? Never went to